Affiliations to what?
Let's say the Communist Party.
Communists?
Yeah.
Él cree que somos comunistas.
You mind telling me what's so funny?
Is that word Catholic? How can Catholics be communists?
I've seen stranger things.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Curiosities. I want to talk about this this story that's on No Pulse Radio, NPR. And it has to do with it's partially about the, illegal immigration, and partially about the abuse of those individuals. Okay, so it's kind of a little bit of a touchy subject, but I don't think it's all that bad. I think it's a perfectly good conversation to have as adults here, as Americans, and it's one that is probably long overdue, to be honest with you. Anyway, so before I get started with that, do me a favor, hit that like button if you're watching my videos, if you're subscribing to my channel. If not, hopefully I'll earn your subscription. I do want to mention two new patrons to the show. I want to say a special thank you to Miss Barbara Williams and to Lauren Katauskas for becoming our latest patrons. So if you haven't yet signed up for our Patreon, please do so. The link is right below me in this little box that I'm in. Right underneath me is patreon.com/King Asilas. Sign up today. If you sign up for the $3 tier and up, you will be getting an autographed copy of my latest book, The Ouroboros. Anyway, let's get to this story here. The headline reads, Perdue Farms and TYSON Foods under federal inquiry over reports of illegal child labor. Now, it's kind of an open secret that immigrants who come here from mostly from Mexico and Central America are being exploited on a daily basis. And I think that part of the argument that is made through the media that, we want to help these people, we want to welcome these people in, and there's this whole bleeding heart mentality goes with it. But when you peel that layer off, what's really happening is these people are being exploited at every level. All right, so let's look at this article. It says, the Labor Department is investigating Perdue Farms and TYSON Foods, two of the biggest poultry producers in the U.S., after reports that migrant children as young as 13 have been working overnight shifts to clean the company's plants. So if your kids from Mexico and Salvador and Honduras are not learning English fast enough, they're probably not studying because they're mopping up the floors at some factory or some warehouse or an office building or something like that. By and large, this is a very general statement, but a lot of them do come here with the idea that they're just here to make money. Okay, this is how it works. Okay, because essentially we have factories. These are big companies, and if they're hiring children to do, you're probably wondering, how is that even possible? That's not even possible. Well, it is possible, and I'll tell you why. It's how this whole system works. The whole system works this way. So you have a big company. It could be a poultry company like TYSON Foods, for example, or it could be just an office building that rents out space to various different companies, right? And so they need to have their offices. They need to have their square footage cleaned. Now, that's a very expensive thing to do unless you hire a contractor at a bargain price. You guys work out, negotiate a price for your cleaning services. Right. So the company that you're hiring to do the cleaning services is a legitimate company. Probably somebody, it's a regular company. Right. So they're legit. So the company who's hiring the contractor, that whole transaction is perfectly fine. It's perfectly legal. But that contractor is the one who's hiring the illegals. They're the ones that are hiring the people with, fake Social Security numbers or no non-Social Security numbers at all. And they're the ones that are hiring these children under the age of 18 and even younger than 16. Some are, as this article has pointed out, there's as young as 13 that are working. So the factory can say, well, we didn't know anything about that. And so they're shielded from this kind of from this kind of scrutiny. But the reality is everybody knows what's really going on here. Let's continue with this article, shall we? The department told NPR that its wage and hour division is looking into the matter and could not provide additional details. Well, these companies certainly they get real dumb when they're being inquired. They all of a sudden get amnesia, or they get really stupid and they can't answer these questions because they don't know. So funny how they don't know these things, but yet they know every little detail of the worker that's in there within their their business. Please give me a break. The inquiry comes after New York Times Magazine published last week a harrowing account of a 14-year-old boy, Marcus Cox, whose arm was nearly torn off while working at a Perdue slaughterhouse on the eastern shore of Virginia. According to the Times, Cox was hired by one of Perdue's contractors tasked with cleaning operations. He and other middle and high school-aged children made up about a third of the overnight shifts at the plant, handling acid and pressure hoses to wash away blood and meat scraps from industrial machines. So you have children who are doing dangerous work in the middle of the night, and you wonder why they fall asleep in your classroom. This is sad on so many levels, but we want that cheap meat, don't we? Under federal law, those tasks are strictly off limits for anyone under 18 because of the inherent risk. Cox admitted to lying about his age to get the job, but the Times reported that it was an open secret among workers at the facility. The same practices were happening at a nearby TYSON-run plant. Look, this is a very old story, okay? This has been going on for so long, it's not even funny. I could even attest to this from my own, family and my own upbringing. My parents were migrant workers, and they would go from state to state to work in the fields, picking whatever. And it wasn't until I was the last of the brood, so I got at least a little bit of spared from that life. But the point of it is that the whole system is rigged up that way. My parents had no chance. They were not going to really excel, but they finally did at the very end. But for a lot of these families, they're stuck in this and they can't move, and they're stuck, and they bring their children into it, and let's not kid ourselves. A lot of these families come over here, they migrate to the United States for economic reasons. All right. Let's not beat around the bush around here about this. They are here for economic reasons. They're not here because of war. They're not here because of genocide. They're not here because of some endangerment, at least by and large, they're not. They're here because they want to make fast money. They want to make good money, make quick money. And they want to send a lot of it back home. And that's what they do. A lot of them do that. To the detriment of this country, I think, in some regards. But I understand the plight. But as long as America's letting the door wide open for them to come in, they're just going to keep doing it. And companies like TYSON Foods and Perdue, and those are just the tip of the iceberg, which gets me to think, why are they being singled out? Is it because, they haven't backed the right politicians? Is it because, they haven't come out in support of the current president? What's the story here? Why is Biden taking his magnifying glass out on these two particular companies? Let's continue reading. I think we might be able to get to that part. Perdue spokesperson Andrea Staub confirmed the company is aware of the federal investigation and said it plans to cooperate. We take the legal employment and safety of our individual working in our facilities very seriously and have strict, long-standing policies in place for Perdue associates to prevent minors from working hazardous jobs in violation of the law. But Straub, you don't oversee the operations of the contractors that you hire, and therefore they have policies or quote unquote policies that do somehow get blind when they're hiring certain workers. She added that Perdue is also conducting a third-party audit of child labor prevention and protections procedures that includes its contractors. Well, yeah, because now their company is under the microscope. Now they could face some serious fines. So, of course, we're going to crack down on them now. They knew all this whole time. Come on, really. Meanwhile, TYSON Foods said it was not aware of any investigation as of Monday afternoon and therefore declined to comment. Well, That's it. It's a convenient excuse. The federal inquiry comes about 7 7 months after the Biden administration vowed to crack down on illegal child labor in the country. In February, the Labor Department imposed a $1.5 million fine on Packers Sanitation Services Incorporated, one of the country's largest cleaning services for meat plants, for hiring minors. At the time, the department did not pursue food corporations, including TYSON, that had benefited from underage labor. So that makes me question, like, why now? Why after 3 years does the Biden administration want to take it out on, wants to look at these packers now, these meat producers? None of this is by accident, okay? And I don't believe in coincidence, and I certainly don't trust politicians, and I don't believe anything the government says. And I'm going to believe these corporations even less, because everybody is lying about something. Clearly, there's motivation. It's usually some kind of retribution, and that's why the government's coming after them aggressively. According to data from the Labor Department, child labor violations have nearly quadrupled since the low point in 2015, leading to more injuries and deaths on the job, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So they go outlining some of the cases of some minors who were killed on the job. This is the sad reality that we're faced with here, and that is that we have a country that is fine the way it is, but you have companies that exploit. You have companies that circumvent the laws. You have very savvy business people that could find loopholes to avoid any kind of wrongdoing, legal wrongdoings that you could slap them with a lawsuit on. And they're just going to continue to victimize these people. And I say that because they know going into this that a lot of these, in some cases, people are going to be injured. People are going to probably lose limbs or lose their lives. And at the very least, they're going to lose their education, because these kids are working and they have to do that to support themselves or support their families or God knows what. And that's the sad part about all this. And that we want to take the high road, and you have people on both sides of the aisle that want to prop up this whole thing about, immigrations and, and the people that are here and, poor people. They're just here for opportunities. They want a better life. Save it, man. Okay. You don't really mean that. What you want is for the status to continue the way it is in this country, because we want to continue to purchase our cheap products. We want to be able to keep buying meat and poultry at a certain price so that we can afford to buy it ourselves. That's always been the case. It's not a 2023 problem. This is a problem that's been going on for decades and longer than that. It's all about the money. It's all about the money. And these companies are going to look to cut what they can to improve their bottom line, because they have shareholders and they have their own, forecasts they're trying to beat. They're trying to make a certain economic goal here. They're trying to grow their products. They're trying to grow their company. They're trying to grow their capital. And so they will find any way to do that. And if they have to exploit people coming from Central America and Mexico to do that, they absolutely will. And the government will stand by and let them do it, so long as they're getting some kickback. That's what's going on. I'm curious. Do you see it differently than I do? Please drop me a comment, drop me a DM. Hopefully you're still sticking with me on this video, and you'll think about hitting that like button and subscribing if you're on YouTube. If you're on X, please follow me. I'm going to be sharing more and more of these types of videos in the near future, and I'm going to try to stay on top of this as much as possible. Do the best you can out there. Stay good, and until next time, God bless.
New Kingdom Radio Theater.